Welcome to the One Sioux Falls media briefing. Different venue for me today in City Hall, but I'm happy to be here. If you don't know me, I'm John Thum, Police Chief, Sioux Falls Police Department, and just really here to talk about an important topic and something you've heard me talk about ad nauseum, almost as much as Sam talks about locking your car. The mayor and I have been talking about mentorship over the past several years, and we're here to highlight that today. We just came out of National Mentoring Month, some big ad campaigns. We saw a big marketing push for Sioux 52, Lutheran Social Services, teammates participated in numerous events to reach as many people as possible to encourage them to mentor in our community. But the need continues to be there in our community. Again, in 2024, through Sioux 52, we only had 89 mentors sign up. Now, Lutheran Social Services and teammates, all the stat keeping and numbers have seen more, but the reality is, when I checked in with Lutheran Social Services and teammates, as of today, there are over 250 kids on waiting lists for mentorship within our community. I'll repeat that again, 250 kids who want mentors, who need adults to step up in their lives are on a waiting list in our community for mentorship. But we are extremely grateful to those who have answered the call, and we need more people to step up is the bottom line. And again, as police chief, I see and hear about situations too often involving youth in our community who are making bad choices, right? And the way to intervene with that is to have adults show up for them and make positive impacts in their lives. Again, Sioux Falls continues to grow. It's well documented, and the challenges of growth are there, but as the growth also happens, we need more mentors within our school district. And again, we highlight this even more so because the mayor and I and a few other community leaders committed in a campaign, but there's been almost a 50% decrease in particular in our title schools since 2019 in mentorship. The schools that need it are asking for it and are standing up and saying, hey, show up for our kids, are actually seeing it cut down. And I'll tell you, when we look at it, a lot of that is that our older generation who is carrying the banner for this for years is again not able to do it as the way they were. And the younger generations now need to stand up and say that we'll carry that banner and stand up for our kids and make the time. Again, you haven't heard me talk about this probably every time I get a microphone, especially in the past year. So it's not a new message that we're giving, but we're giving a little more urgency today and a little more public facing so that we can talk about this as a community. Again, it takes all different forms. Mentorship is not only through teammates or LSS or through a school-sponsored program. It's coaching kids soccer. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about is a commitment of time, and we need to make that commitment. And again, we can even look at it in an investment in our community. However you want to look at it, it will pay dividends, but if no one shows up, it's not going to have the same impact. I think as a community, sometimes we would like to throw money at a problem. This is something we can't throw money at. This is something we have to throw time at. And I know the commitment maybe seemed daunting. It literally is 30 minutes, and if you add drive time, about 45 minutes a week. Now, granted, I know we think we're really, really busy, but the reality is we make time for things that are important. And I think if we look introspectively, we all have time for something like this that's important. I make time to do it in many different ways, and I am involved in a kid's life because I think it's important. We make time when things are important. And so to speak more detailed about this, I'm going to introduce Chris Bierle, who's worked within the school district, all different schools and different facets, and I'll let him explain his story and where he's at. But he's going to highlight some of these for you in a very real way.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. My name is Chris Bierle, and I'm the Dean of Students at Laura B. Anderson Elementary School here in Sioux Falls. It's an honor to speak to you today about something that profoundly impacts our schools and community and the valuable role it plays in mentorship. Mentors provide more than just time. They offer students personalized support and attention, something many kids don't get elsewhere. In a world full of distractions, whether it's technology, difficult home environments, or overcrowded living situations, a mentor's steady presence can be life-changing. Whether it's playing a game, sharing a meal, or simply listening, mentors help students feel valued and supported in ways that extend beyond the classroom. I want to share a story of Greg, a student at our school. Like many, Greg faces significant challenges at home, and it showed in his behavior in school with hitting, kicking, and frequent disruptions. Describing this year as rough is putting it mildly. But after being paired with a consistent mentor, Greg's transformation in the classroom has been 90% of his time has changed back into the classroom. His disruptive behaviors have significantly decreased, and he's rebuilding relationships with his peers. His progress shows what's possible when students know someone is consistently in their corner. Mentors play a critical role in helping students manage emotions and overcome behavioral challenges. Many kids face trauma and instability, which affects how they engage in school. But having someone believe in them week after week can be the turning point. Students eagerly anticipate these meetings and they never miss them. It's a non-negotiable commitment, not just for the students, but for the entire school community. Early in my career, I worked as an education assistant at Patrick Henry Middle School, where I encountered students with highly disruptive behaviors. I tried every lesson plan and strategy I could think of, but the real shift happened when a teacher gave me this advice. Think of us as the Home Depot. We give students the tools and guidance they need to build their houses. Their homes may not take shape immediately, but when the time comes, they'll reach into their tool belts, whether it's through a conversation, a lesson, or even a simple game of Uno, and they'll use that to build their future. That's mentorship. It's not a real quick fix. It's about providing steady support, even when the results aren't immediate. But the impact, it's lifelong. So today, I'm asking you to consider being a mentor. For just 40 minutes a week, you can make a difference that lasts a lifetime. And if you're an employer, I encourage you to give your staff the opportunity to mentor. If not only it benefits the students, but it'll also play a positive impact on your employees. In closing, if we want to keep Sioux Falls thriving, we need to invest in our future, which is our children. The decisions we make today and the actions we take will shape the future of our city. Let's stand together and make that future bright. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. He took some of my closing talking points. But really, I think people sometimes are like, well, do I have what it takes to be a mentor? And through my experience as a mentor, I've heard stories from other mentors about their experiences. I'm just going to tell you about one. Mentee was meeting with this kid, and his kid's like, you know what? You're the best mentor I've ever had. Mentee's like, well, why is that? Can you kind of tell me why, right? And he goes, because you showed up for over a year and a half, and no one's ever done that for me before. It's simply showing up. You may not feel like you have the skills or ability or the right things to say, but the reality from what Chris said too is simply showing up and being a caring influence in that kid's life can make all the difference in the world. And I know it's really easy, especially right now, to get sucked into national politics and issues around the world or country that are important, right? But if we took the same interest we showed to those topics and put it towards this topic, which is mentoring our kids and making sure that our future is taken care of, think of the difference we can make. We are a city of 220,000. 250 kids in our community are without a mentor. You do the math. That's not a very big percentage of people who have to raise their hand, show up and say, you know what, I'll be there, right? Because we want to give a lot of attention to what we do as police, what crimes have been committed, what arrests have been made. But if we're not doing the work on the front end, which is getting kids on the right path and investing in their lives, I'm going to tell you, this isn't going to get any better. So one simple way we can all invest in our community, whether it's individuals or businesses or collectively, is to take this step to say that we're going to do this. I know the results won't necessarily be immediate. It'll take time. But things worth doing take time, and they take time to see the results. So with that, we'll take any questions that you have, if anything you want to ask us. Patrick. I see you going for the mic there. Yeah.
Chief, you talked about Title I schools. Could you sort of recast that and tell us why you think that is?
So a couple phenomenons in talking to our partners. The banner was really carried in these title schools by some of our greatest generation. Post-COVID, many of them stepped away from mentoring or retiring or honestly getting maybe just not enough energy or strength to get to the schools anymore in that environment. The younger generations haven't filled that gap. Too busy with what's going on in their life, too busy not thinking they have the time. We can't rely on one single generation to carry this. I've seen from my experience in mentoring and working with community soccer that young people have a big say in this, and I'm talking about maybe the generations who think that the older generations will take care of it, but I've seen firsthand that young people have almost more impact when they get involved in the lives of kids. They can relate, they can do things that are different. So I think it's a generation-wide call to that, and we aren't filling some of the roles that the greatest generation were filling within these mentorship roles.
And do you think that there's some perhaps stereotype or worry that what you're dealing with are troubled kids? That,
Yeah.
that you have to be a social worker?
I mean, there's probably an expectation that you have to have some extraordinary skill set. We all have extraordinary skill sets just by our experiences in life and the wisdom we have from just growing up and being adults, right? And these are the kind of skill sets that you need to pass on to kids. They're not looking for a therapy session, right? They're not looking for someone to solve all their issues or all their problems. They're looking for somebody just to show up, be their friend, provide guidance, be a stable adult influence in their life. And many of us have the capabilities to do that.
Where do you do it? I mean, is it always at the school?
Say one more
Is
time.
it always at a school?
So within the Teammates at LSS program, most of them are school-based. Some of the programs have outside of school, which requires some more applications to fill out, some more parental parameters that have to be met. But keep in mind, the kids that are signing up for mentorship are asking for mentors. And in many cases, their parents have to sign off and are asking for mentors too. We're not getting pushed with the kid who doesn't want you there. Like the kids that are there, and it's the norm in schools now. Like if I walk through the hallways, even if I'm not in uniform, if I'm in uniform, they look at me a little funny because they wonder what I'm up to. But I'm not. They're like, oh, that's your mentor, right? Like the kids know that this is part of the normal life in the Sioux Falls School District. So again, don't feel like you're on an island if you're going to show up. The kids, the teachers, the staff are used to it, and they want you there too. I mean, this is very rarely in life does everybody want you around, right? This is one of those circumstances where universally people want you to be investing in their schools and their kids.
What do you do when you're there?
For me, like so.
For anybody.
I mentor through, again, our primary partners with the school are Teammates and Lutheran Social Services. They equip you with some basic training. Here's some ideas, some games to play. Here's some ideas of things you can talk about. I see other mentors grab board games sometimes when they're there with their kids. My kid and I, we just talk about life. We talk about what's going on. I share with him, like today we'll talk about my trip to Terry Peak with my kids. We'll talk about some of the stuff that he's involved in and the different things that are there. And then within 30 minutes, it's, again, you could fill that time pretty easily just talking about life and strategies to work on the challenges. Once the relationships are built, you start talking about, hey, well, here's some insight on maybe how you could work on this or think about this.
I guess my big thing is if someone wants to be mentored, or if you want to be mentored, what can you do or what should you do?
Sure. So we have Sioux 52 through the helpline. You can contact LSS and Teammates directly. They will be more than happy to accept your application. Like I said, having worked closely with both organizations, they really want to make it as easy as possible on you to get involved in their program. There's some training that's there. There's a background check. We would all understand and hope that people are getting background checked who are participating in this. So there's really moderate hoops to jump through. But again, they've got it down where they're streamlining it, supporting it, and making it so that it's as easy as possible to do. Just one more thing. If an organization, a business, or a group decides to adopt a school, it can have huge impacts, right? Collectively sharing those mentorship stories together, but also thinking about proximity, right? Well, where am I close to? What's the easiest spot for me to get to for lunch? Yep. Was it? Yeah, give a shout out because we've seen my alma mater, USF, has worked closely with Edison, with their athletes and with their students and with their staff, and that has produced a spike in mentors at Edison, where Edison now for Lutheran Social Services has the highest number of mentors because part of that is USF adopting them. And Mr. Bierle has an example of that as well. So,
Last summer with LSS, I worked with Gage Brothers, and I worked with Smithfield and Grand Prairie, and they're all letting their employees come to school to do mentorship for that 40 minutes a week, which has been transformational. The kids love it. And Gage Brothers is actually paying their employees to come over there. So they're not off the clock. They just go over and they get paid while they're at school. So shout out to those as well. And I'm kind of pushing the city to get them to come to Laura B. Anderson. I approached them at the street department. So if you can make that work, that'd be great.
I'll put the squeeze on Director
Okay,
Cotter.
thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think a good way to close this is a lot of attention and scrutiny on community and issues within our community right now. And I first became chief, I was really like nice and diplomatic about it. I'm not as diplomatic anymore, right? If all you have time is to offer opinions and Facebook comments, you're not really making an impact. You're not really making a difference. If you want to impact, this is one very easy way you can do it, and put your opinions or your feelings into action. If not, save them, right? Because we collectively have to work together to better our community in a variety of different ways, and this is one way that's tangible, easy, and honestly, just, we've made it so easy for you to do it, we just need you to say, I'll show up. And all you gotta do is show up. So again, thanks for attention to this issue. Looking forward to skyrocketing mentorship numbers within our community after this riveting press conference. So make sure you sign up, and again, I'll be excited to report in the future how many of you have joined the effort. Thank you.